Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Damn, this pug world is savage.
Hell no!
Why?
But we did finally manage to get a key, so let's get into it, shall we? So yes, I did finally manage to get into a Vortex Pinnacle, a dungeon originally from Cataclysm that has now been added to Season 2, Mythic Pool for Dragonflight. This is a relatively short dungeon with a 30-minute timer that can be tough because there are some areas of this dungeon that can trip up the unwary. Well, let's start off with the trash, shall we? Wild Vortexes love to spam cast Wind Bolt. This is something you want to interrupt as much as you can, and be aware of how many of these you pull. Also, beware, the big bad for these ones is if they try and cast Cyclone. You need to make sure this is interrupted every single time they're going to try and cast it. If this is allowed to go off, you'll be unable to do anything for 6 seconds. It's fun. Gust soldiers love to use rushing winds to charge out of the death pool, hitting a random player. This will do nature damage and also leave a nasty dot on them for 8 seconds. This dot can be dispelled. We also have armored Mistrals. If you're ranged, you'll want to get relatively close to these mobs because once they cast Cloud Guard, this will be a shield that will block attacks from the direction the shield is facing. So you'll want to get behind them ASAP. But you don't want to get too close because they also have pressurized blast. This will knock you up into the air and do a ton of damage. In this area is the Lurking Tempest. This is a tricky mob because technically you're not going to kill it. Not only are they dotted around the dungeon, but they're also present in the boss fight where you come up against the Grand Vizier. This mob is harmless as long as somebody is facing them. If your camera is looking at them, they will stay in lurk mode, being pretty much harmless. If they are able to come out of lurk mode, they will start casting Lethal Current, dealing massive damage to all players until they are faced or that you move out of their range. Beware, if you have a pet class, sometimes your pet will just decide it wants to attack these and nothing else, as you can see here. Either command it back or just resummon. And then finally we have the Cloud Prince. When they're casting Turbulence, make sure that you have a personal available. This will cause damage to all players and push you away. You will also need to dodge Typhoon. If you get hit by these, you will be dazed for 5 seconds, and it does a decent chunk of damage. Now once all that has been dealt with, it's time to face Grand Vizier Etan. First up, rotate your interrupts. Make sure you get as many lightning bolts as you possibly can. The biggest thing to pay attention for is the Cyclone Shield. You'll want to stay inside this ring as much as possible. Being outside the ring will lead to bad things and your healer pretty much shouting at you. The rest of this phase is really raiding 101. Avoid taking excess damage, watch out for the shield fragments on the floor, the constant swirlies that are going around the platform. Now, during this encounter, the Visage will pull in the various shields. At this point, everyone is going to be outside of the Cyclone Shield. Basically, you're just stepping away from the boss. It's at this point, pray to God you selected a good healer. Everyone will be suffering a lot of damage. Try to help your healer, pop a defensive, do whatever it is that you can. Once this is over, the Cyclones will then start to spread out again, coming away from the boss. Make sure you get inside of those ASAP to avoid receiving damage. The boss will also spawn a lurker throughout the fight. Just like the previous ones that we've met along our way, someone is going to need to face this lurker to make sure that it does not cast. This is a good one for the tanks to help out from, because obviously the rest of the groups can be struggling avoiding things, trying to make sure they get hit by cyclones and all that other good stuff. So tank can just position yourself to make sure it's able to see the lurker. Once a tank has been defeated, jump onto the zip stream to the left. It will take you to the next platform. Here we face a new selection of mobs. First up is the Turbulent Squall. Make sure to interrupt their Cloudburst, as this will do frost damage to all nearby enemies. Also, if possible, purge their Storm Shield. While up, this shield will do damage every 2.5 seconds. Then we have the name of my personal pain, because I hate these things, the Empyrean Assassins. These have a Lethargius, that's going to be a bad pronunciation, poison. As the name would suggest, it's going to reduce your movement speed, your attack speed, your cast speed for 8 seconds. Not only that, but this poison stacks. You will also want to interrupt their Vapor form. It's a 2-second cast with a 3-second cooldown, and it reduces all damage they take by 90% for 10 seconds. Last of all, we have the young Storm Dragons. These are by far and away the hardest trash that you will face in this section. They require a lot of healer focus due to their icy buff air. This inflicts big damage to everyone within 60 yards. Also, avoid the chilling breath, as this is pretty much a one-shot at higher levels. On the plus side, the young dragons will summon a healing well, a large green circle on the ground. If you're the tank, make sure the dragon isn't standing in it. If you're everybody else in the group, make sure you jump into this green circle, as it will heal you. Now, to face the next boss, Otarius. First up, make sure you are never outside of the platform, or you will die, thanks to Cold Front. Then there are two big mechanics of this fight. The first is Cool the Winds, giving you either a debuff or a buff depending if you are downwind or upwind of the boss. This does have a pattern, first coming from the east, then south, then west, and finally, you guessed it, from the north. After that, the pattern repeats itself once again. If you stand with the wind to your back, you will gain a 30% bonus to haste. Should the wind be in your face instead, that you're going to gain the downwind debuff. When this happens, you will receive damage and your abilities will be slowed by 30%. Not pleasant. The second big mechanic, and the one I see kill most people, is Downburst. A white circle will appear on the floor somewhere on the platform. After a small period of time, this circle will expand. Do not get hit by this circle or you will die. When you see the white circle slowly approach you, make sure you are stood near one of the small tornadoes. Just as the white circle is about to hit you, you want to step into one of these tornadoes. It will push you up into the air, giving you a little bit of a slow fall. The white edge of the circle will pass underneath you. You will drop to the ground, harmless, unaffected by the debuff. Outside of Downburst, obviously you want to avoid these twisting wing circles. They are slow moving, it's pretty easy to avoid them throughout the fight. And if you are wondering, yes, things like Blink AMS do work on Downburst. Last of all, this is a dragon, so watch out again for the Chilling Breath standard Dragon Breath Frontal. If you are tanking this, best place is probably middle of the platform. That means people can move around it easily enough. And that is Otarius down. It's on to the next set of trash. To get there, we want to take yet another slipstream. This last section has some really interesting trash that will keep you on your toes. First up, the Temple Adepts. These are the healers of the group, casting Holy Smite, which also has the greater heal effect. They also have a buff called Desperate Speed. This can be purged. Next, the Executioner of the Caliphate. These hit pretty hard thanks to the AoE ability Crushing Stone, causing all players to take damage. They also have the ability Rally, basically they're a warrior, which will increase their allies' health by 30%. Nope, we are not done yet. Next up we have the Minister of Air. This is without a shadow of a doubt the daddy of the pack. But if you use the Lightning Pyramid or Ground Field properly, they become a lot less scary. Note to tank. Make sure you pull these mobs away from the grounding fields, these lightning pyramid things. But near enough so that the melee are able to use it should they need to. Why would you need to? Well, this grounding field makes you immune from all magical damage. Hence why you want to make sure you do not tank the trash inside of it. Be aware that the Minister of Air can cast Overload Grounding Field. When this happens, get out of the grounding field, because instead of protecting you, it is going to do damage to everybody inside. The Servants of Assad are the last of these packs, and they are basically the bully boys, and really are by far and away the easiest trash compared to the others in these packs. Last but most definitely not least, you're going to face Skyfall Stars. These are harmless looking things, but dear God do they wreck you if you are not prepared. They have one ability and one ability only. Starlight, a ball of arcane energy. Doesn't sound like much, but when they all start doing it, better have some personals prepared, because if they focus at one person, you will soon drop, and drop fast. So we're almost at the last boss. Little bit of a heads up here. If you're about to run down the ramp leading to the final boss, you can actually jump over the wall, this lip here, and you'll see you end up halfway down the ramp. You can, if you want, go even further and jump all the way down, but you do take a decent chunk of damage. I play a Death Knight, so yeah, having the ability to get anywhere faster than other people is a huge bonus. I've only got little legs as well. So first up on the final boss. Raiding 101, spread for Chain Lightning. When the Skyfall Nova spawns, which is the ad, make sure it's a priority, kill it. Next up, make sure when Assad casts Static Cling, you are not touching the ground. It's a 3-second cast, so right at the very end, jump, and you will avoid the 90% slow. And this is important for the big killer, Supremacy of the Storm. This is a one-shot. Only way to avoid dying is to make sure that you are stood in the grounding field that Assad will create to protect himself from Supremacy of the Storm. Watch for a lightning line that comes out for the boss. This is slowly going to make a triangle. Make sure you are in that triangle. You can now see, with a 90% slow, it is very hard to be able to get to that triangle in time. I was only able to get in there because I literally had rocket jump ready to go and jumped into the grounding field. If you're a paladin or a class that has anything that can debuff, blessings of freedom, stuff like that, help a teammate out. Also, talking about helping teammates out, if you are the tank, make sure you slowly take Assad over to the Nova ad. This helps everybody just cleave it down. And realistically, it comes down to spread for the Chain Lightning, jump for the static, dispel anyone that gets it. Once Supremacy is going to hit, make sure you are inside the grounding field. And once it's over, spread back out in case of Chain Lightning. And that is Vortex Pinnacle complete. I hope this beginner's guide to the Vortex Pinnacle helped you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Laters, everyone.